Hello everyone and welcome to the video. Today I'd like to go over my experience returning to Magic. Now I've been playing MTG Arena on and off ever since it came out, and I've returned a couple of times for different sets and formats, but for the past couple of years I haven't touched the game at all, and now I decided to come back one more time to see what's new, so let's get into it. First thing I want to say, when I logged in I got a whole bunch of rewards with different deck lists and a bunch of free packs for different sets, which felt very nice. I was able to open a lot of packs, which was very surprising. I didn't expect to get that many packs. My pulls were overall pretty great, and I was very surprised how many wildcards I was able to pull. Maybe I just got lucky, but it felt really good regardless. Now after opening all of the packs, I decided to try out one or two of the starter decks, and I gotta say they're not particularly amazing because they're very budget. They have only a couple of rare and mythic rare cards in them, and I definitely don't think they're good enough for standard, so I wouldn't say you should play them, but I did get a couple of wins surprisingly, which felt nice. Now after that I wanted to learn more about the game and what's new, and I got really surprised that there are now guides and tutorials about every format and everything in the game. I can't tell you how much that helped me. Even though it's a small thing, I was able to learn a lot about the formats and what each format is all about, and there are a lot of new things in the game, so that definitely helped me a lot. There are also achievements now in the game, and although they're not that big of a deal, they do give you some cosmetics and it feels nice. Now it did take me a while and a lot of research to figure out what's good and what's not, but I did manage to build a cool deck, and even though it's not the best deck, I wouldn't recommend you build it. I did decide to play some Urza artifacts because I really liked Urza in the past and I wanted to play an artifact deck. To be honest, you don't even need Urza, but I wanted to play it because I like the card. Now I'm gonna explain what the deck is all about for those of you curious, but keep in mind some of these cards are gonna rotate in a couple of days because there's a new set coming out in a new rotation, and I didn't really know that, so I might have crafted a thing or two that's gonna rotate. But this is basically an Urza artifact deck. Although you don't really care about the Urza, the main idea here is to play Simulacrum Synthesizer and play a bunch of artifacts to just get a bunch of huge constructs and win the game with that. We also have stuff like Chaos Reconstruction to summon a bunch of constructs. Now this card is gonna rotate, but there is a good substitute for it. United Battlefront is a substitution for Chaos Reconstructions, but it does not summon creatures, which means you can summon Urza. That is why I didn't play it. I also play Osfed to double the amount of tokens we generate with the synthesizer, and there are a bunch of cards that help us get more mana, or just cards that allow us to draw multiple cards or slow down the opponent or remove some things that the opponent might have. And overall the deck is not incredible against aggro decks because it's a little slow, so oftentimes you're gonna lose during the first couple of turns if you don't have removal. But against control decks it's really good because you can continuously spam more and more constructs. Now I'm gonna go over my impressions about the meta in a little bit, but I firstly want to mention a couple of other good formats that I did play. First of all, I played Pioneer, and now this is the deck that I wanted to play, basically Azorius Control, but I didn't have everything that I needed, so I just switched some of the cards with whatever I have. For example, I switched the Temporarily Lockdown with a different AoE, I switched it 3 steps ahead with a different counter, and so on and so forth. I did build similar deck with a similar function, but it was a little less powerful because I didn't have some of the new cards. And I gotta say, Pioneer to me feels like a pretty cool format because it's basically a combination between paper play and the digital card game, and it feels very nice. Although I heard not every card is available in the Pioneer format, it was still pretty fun for me because I felt some nostalgia and I remember things that I used to play. And the final format that I did try out was the Standard Bro, and it was an Urza artifact deck. Now I didn't have every single card, as you can see, so I just switched whatever I don't have with things that I do have, but I did have the majority of cards, so I did experience the game pretty well. Now the reason I played Standard Bro is because it's easier to get into, and you also need 60 cards, not 100, so it's significantly cheaper. But I feel like the Bro format is a little bit better playing 100 cards, and to me the Bro and the Standard Bro formats are the most fun in the game. However, they're the most expensive ones as well because it requires you to have a lot of rares and mythic rares, but if you have them you're gonna have lots of fun because playing commanders just feels very nice. Now unfortunately I wasn't able to play every format because it's really expensive to get into them. For example, I did not play Alchemy, Historic, and Bro, even though I really like them. Magic is just a very expensive game, what can I say? And the final mode I want to mention that I did play was Quick Draft, and I had lots of fun because I love drafting. For those of you who don't know, it's a format where you open 3 packs and you build a deck with whatever cards you get from there, and then you play games against other people who did the same. And I personally really enjoyed this format because I love creating something with random cards, and it's also very fun that it's a little bit slower paced format and you get to experience the back and forth of Magic, and you don't play some insane cards that kill you on turn 3, 4, or 5. You just play a longer paced game and you predict the opponent, you have a lot of back and forth. It just feels very nice. And the cool thing is I managed to get 4 wins, which is a pretty nice score for someone who just came back to the game, considering the fact that 2 of my losses was because I started with 3 lands and then proceeded to not draw a single land for the next couple of turns, even though I drew like 8 or 9 cards. The typical Magic experience, of course. Speaking of Magic experience, let's go over the meta, and the first thing I want to say is that even MTG Arena could not escape power creep. I will say the meta is very aggressive and very fast, and oftentimes there are decks that just kill you during the first 3 or 4 turns, and there are also some cards that aren't very interactive and can be very annoying. For example, there's a card that can instantly actually end the turn, or there's also the Omniscience Invasion of Arcavius and the Jeskai Revelation combo, which just doesn't feel very fun and interactive. You just sit and watch. Now I also want to talk about the economy in the game a little bit, because I feel like that is one of the bigger problems that Magic has. It's just very difficult to get into it and get a good collection, because it takes a while until you're able to build even a single good deck. Even though they give you some starter decks, they are just not that great. They have a couple of rares and mythic rares, but nothing too exciting, and you're not gonna win a lot of games with them. And another thing that can be a huge problem for anyone who hasn't played the game before or is just coming back is the fact that you need to craft a lot of land cards, which feels very expensive and very difficult to do, because you need to also get the other cards to actually play the deck. It's not like you just need land cards, right? I feel like the reason why the game is a little more expensive than any other card game is the fact that you need to worry about the mana system as well and spend resources to make it better, which can make the cost significantly higher. However, the systems in the game are more or less the same. You still open packs, and every 6 pack gives you a wild card, so that's nice. You also have the golden pack system in the store still available, so that's also great. This essentially makes it a little more worth it to buy packs from the store. However, I would still suggest you converting your gold into gems by playing the draft modes, because you can enter for 5,000 gold and you get some gems as rewards, which can be pretty great. Now, you do need to be good at the game, unfortunately, but if you get a couple of wins, it can be very much worth it for you. And also, let's not forget, you do keep the cards that you draft, so you can get a couple of rares and mythic rares there. And I also want to mention, I don't know if I was just unlucky, but throughout my drafting, I did not see very many mythic rares and rares available in the packs. Maybe they've reduced the number of rare and mythic rare cards in the packs. I'm not sure about that though. And the main idea here is that you basically farm gems to just buy the passes. Now, I'm not gonna buy this obviously because it ends in 4 days, but that's a good idea when you have the gems. And this is definitely the best thing to buy. But regardless, even if you do everything right, it's gonna take a long time until you're able to play multiple decks in the game. But the cool thing is there are some budget options in terms of decks, and I see a lot of content, especially on YouTube, covering budget decks you can play. And finally, I would like to give you guys my opinion about the game and whether you should play it or not. Now, one thing I will say, I believe this card game to be the best one you can currently play online. Even though it's really hard to get into it and build a collection, there are just so many more modes in Magic than any other card game. Most card games just have a couple of game modes and make you play primarily ranked, and in Magic, it doesn't matter. You can play so many cool things. You don't even need to play ranked if you don't want to do that. There are other formats you can experience and have fun with. That is something that I personally really enjoy about the game. And there's also the commander mode, which feels so nice. And I also believe that the draft mode of Magic is the best draft mode you can possibly experience in any card game. I think it's way better by far compared to any other one, including Hearthstone. Now, unfortunately, I remembered Magic to be a game that's a little bit slower pace and a longer back and forth experience. And now I feel like power creep has also taken over this game. But to be honest, power creep has kind of taken over every single game now, so we can't really do much about that. But yeah, overall experience pretty great. I did have lots of fun. If you agree or disagree with something in this video, let me know in the comments below. Also, feel free to check out more content. And if you enjoyed the video, I would appreciate like, subscribe. For now though, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.